Ravenfield is one of the best-selling FPS games ever made by just one person, and should be celebrated as a huge success for indie games. This single-player Battlefield-like game has broken over 1 million copies sold, and still has a thriving community almost a decade after its initial release. But very little information exists about the game's development, its creator, and most importantly, what we can take away from its success. So, I interviewed the dev, did a lot of digging, and here is that video. This is Johan Hassel, or better known as SteelRaven7, a Swedish game developer who, you could tell was a bit of a sucker for FPS games based on the games he would release, but all of them would go on to just get moderate success. However, in early 2016, Johan would go on to make a decision that would change the course of his entire life. See, initially his goal was to prototype an FPS game using Unity's ragdoll physics, making a simple game that would be easy to iterate on. He thought it was an awesome idea, and he kept on working on it, adding bots and some vehicles.
From the name, you can kind of see that this is a game very inspired by Battlefield.
And finally, he would release this prototype on HIO on the 3rd of July, 2016. Beta 1 had vehicles, a helicopter, which was pretty hard to control, and one island map. And if it just stopped there, it's possible that no one would know what Ravenfield was. But perhaps by a stroke of luck, or good timing, a famous French YouTuber by the name of Las Pizza Guys
Ravenfield, c'est un peu Battlefield mais en mode pixel. Alors au début je me suis dit...
made a video on the game just 3 days after release, which now sits at over 600,000 views. And within just 1 day, the game exploded in popularity, getting 20,000 visits overnight.
And then after that, it just kept on growing. More and more YouTubers made videos. I think the reason why it worked so well on YouTube was because graphics are so simple and it's just easy to take in. It's easy to understand the gameplay.
Ravenfield also filled a very underserviced niche in the FPS market. A lot of new people rediscovered bot match gameplay, which hadn't been done in any significant way compared to what was available back in the 90s and 2000s with games like Unreal Tournament and Battlefield Bot Match. With this popularity, Hassel would then go on to continue updating the game, all the way to Beta 5 for free on HIO. With each update, he added stuff like a missile launcher, a tank, a desert map, more weapons, but very quickly, he realized that he finally had something in his hands that was a real shot at success. And he knew that if he played his cards right, this could be huge. So, he made it his mission to expand on the game and ultimately release it on Steam. But he had a pretty big obstacle in the way. See, nowadays, you can pretty much publish anything you want to Steam. All you have to do to publish a game on Steam is you have to pay a $100 deposit, and if your game runs and is not a virus, you get approved and you're on your merry way. But back in the day, it was a lot harder. Back then, Steam worked on the greenlight system. How this worked was a developer would put out all the information that people would need to know about the game on a page, and then Steam users would vote yes or no, whether they thought that it would be a good fit for Steam, and whether they would buy it. And if a game got enough yes votes, Valve would then greenlight that title and allow it on Steam. Normally, this would be pretty hard for an indie dev to pull off, but with its huge success on HIO, Ravenfield was eventually greenlit. Now, before we continue, the video you're watching right now is part of a new series I'm trying out, analyzing successful games to understand why they succeeded, and hopefully to inspire you to make games. If you appreciate the work that I'm doing, please consider subscribing. Now, back to the video you came here to watch. So, on the 19th of May 2017, the full Ravenfield would launch on Steam. This new version had completely overhauled enemies with new models, 2 completely new maps, which were a snow temple and archipelago map, improvements to the existing maps, planes, boats, and 2 new game modes. And I remember being blown away by this update as a kid. The game was very well received by the community and would continue to be updated in early access for another 7 years to this day, where new maps, guns, and even a conquest mode that was originally promised was added. But most importantly, what allowed the game to continue to thrive after almost a decade of development was mod support. Ravenfield has an extensive modding community who made all kinds of mods from German weapon packs, apocalypse mods, and even a multiplayer mod. Also, Easter eggs like secret guns and UFO fights, coupled with the mods, gave YouTubers a lot of content to make videos about, which led to the creation of massive creators who made content exclusively about Ravenfield, giving the game pretty much free publicity. Now, as much as Ravenfield is a total success story, giving the developer financial freedom, the ability to quit his job, and work on whatever game he wants, what I really was interested in was whether there was anything SteelRaven regrets, or would have done differently. So I asked him, and I can honestly 100% relate to his answer. So one of the easiest mistakes you can do at the start of any project is to write just total spaghetti code, which, yes, in the short term allows you to feel like you're really quickly making progress on your prototype or idea, but you have to be extremely careful with it. In Ravenfield, the code he made for the enemy AIs was really quickly written and therefore really hard to maintain and expand upon, especially for the modding community. So the lesson you can take away from this is that if you are a developer and you're writing a system that you can see yourself expanding upon throughout development, write good code. Take the extra time. Overall, Ravenfield created a pretty much unheard of experience, where people could hop in and out of a Battlefield-like game with mods completely offline on their computer. The game is optimized to run on pretty much any machine, has no microtransactions, and while playing you feel like the hero of the battle, getting the most kills, and this has led to the game being critically acclaimed by reviewers. In the future, Steel Raven hopes to work independently on his own games, and Ravenfield has given him the financial freedom to spend time making his own game engine and design his future games. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like the video, take care, bye.